Hello everyone, I'm Sophie apparently, and I am back with another Master Duel deck profile, and this time I am playing Evil Twin. So I've been playing this deck probably the most of any deck in Master Duel so far. I started playing it in low gold and climbed all the way up to platinum with it, and it's the main deck I've been using to climb in platinum as well. Or, well, it was the main deck I was using to climb in Platinum, until I switched to trying to make a worse deck work, so now I really just haven't been climbing at all. But that's beside the point. The point is that I am here to show you my Evil Twin deck. Now this is the deck I've been enjoying a lot, because I think it's a lot of fun, it's extremely consistent, it's relatively cheap and pretty powerful for how cheap it is, but mostly I love this deck because it's so very relatable. This is an archetype consisting of two lesbians who spend way too much time on the internet and also do crimes in real life, and you know what? God, if that isn't me. Anyway, that aside, let's talk about the actual deck, shall we? Evil Twins are a slow control deck, maybe bordering on mid-range, but really it wants to play a slow grind game, based around these two crime lesbians, Evil Twin Kissakill and Evil Twin Lila. The main goal of the deck is to get these two into rotation, and can continually loop between the two of them to generate advantage. They can both be summoned with any two monsters, including one that has their name, Lila or Kissakill, and they both gain an additional effect if they are summoned when the other is on the field. Kissakill lets you draw a card, and Lila lets you destroy a card. Also, during either player's main phase, both of the twins can summon the other one from the graveyard if you don't currently control a monster with that name. So Lila revives a Kissakill monster if you don't control one, and Kissakill revives a Lila. This is the main goal of the deck, is to get these two set up turn 1, and then start, summoning a Lila on your opponent's turn to pop a card, and then reviving Kissakill on your own turn to draw, and looping them back and forth in that way to grind your opponent out. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about how we're actually getting to that loop. In the main deck, I'm on a bunch of monsters here, starting with 2 Veiler, 3 Maxi. They're hand traps, they're the hand traps I own, so I'm playing them. Then we have 2 live twin Kissakill and 2 live twin Lila. See, in real life, the evil twins are these 2 phantom thieves who go around stealing jewelry and doing heists. But for their day job, they're VTubers, and here they are. Aren't they cute? Anyway, these two little 500 attack internet friends have the effect that when they're normal summoned, and you control no other monsters, you can special summon the other one from hand or deck. That makes both Live Twin Lila and Kissakill 1-card Evil Twin loops. These guys are your main starters, you want to find them turn 1, and you have a bunch of ways to do it. Summoning one of these gets you into your Evil Twins. For instance, you can summon Kissakill, summon Lila from deck, link off for a Kissakill, revive a Lila, link those off for another Lila, and you're in it. You have your loop going, and your advantage engine is online. Now, sometimes your normal summon is going to get stopped, and you're going to need extenders, and you have those in the form of Live Twin Lila Treat and Live Twin Kissakill Frost, who I guess are like, I don't know, special seasonal VTuber avatars for Christmas and Halloween respectively. Interesting. Anyway, the important part of these cards is that when you control the other lesbian, you can special summon them from your hand. So Lila can be special summoned if you control a Kissakill, and Kissakill can be if you control a Lila. They also have graveyard effects, but these don't come up too often. Lila is some situational attack reduction, and Kissakill is a slightly less situational draw. But the important part is they give you extenders if your plays get interrupted, or they give you ways to get into additional plays when you're trying to kill your opponent. I like a 2-2 ratio. I think I've seen some people play 3 Kissakill, 1 Lila Treat, because Kissakill's effect is a lot better. But I prefer the flexibility of having multiples of both, because you can never be sure which one you're gonna need at any given time. Then I've got 2 Ash Blossom, because I don't own 3 Ash Blossom, and 3 Parallel Exceed. One of the big weaknesses of this deck is that while Evil Twins are very consistent at getting to your loop, that is not enough often to stop powerful decks. Your ceiling is quite low with only Evil Twin in archetype stuff, and Parallel Exceed helps alleviate that by giving you a free Baguska or some other form of disruption on top of your Evil Twin endboard. And for the last monster, we have a bad card you should not be playing. Evil Twins Kill and Lila is a card that can't be normal summoned or set and can only be summoned by tributing 2 Link monsters, is like the world's worst evenly match. The fact it's never come up for me, and also is a 4400 attack beater if you have a Kill and Lila in your graveyard. Honestly, don't run this card. Like, if you pull it from the pack and you want to play it, like, more power to you, but it's really not worth playing. The fact that it's a 4400 attacker that's pretty easy to summon does come up occasionally, but usually if you need that, you can just make an access code or something. And honestly, drawing into this card feels bad every time. It's such a terrible brick. Don't play it. I'm honestly just on it because I like the animation. So with that bad card out of the way, let's move on to the good cards, because we have a lot of powerful spells, including Monster Reborn for extension, 3 Desires because card draw is good and we don't care about the downside, and 3 Secret Password. This card is a searcher for a Live Twin or Evil Twin spell trap, and this is quite strong because we have a number of powerful back row to search, including the next card, Live Twin Sunny's Snitch, which... Okay, before we talk about this card with that, can we acknowledge that the name Sunny's Snitch is, like, so clearly a euphemism? Like, apparently that pussy's so good that when it's activated, you can add a Live Twin monster from your deck to your hand, and you should be running 3 of it, regardless of the weird name implications. This card is a Rhoda, so you play 3. It makes an already consistent deck even more consistent, and it also has some negligible burn and life gain, which usually doesn't matter, but it will be one of the few playable things in the game that advances the secret mission in Master Duel that gives you some gems for gaining a bunch of LP, so that's cool. Then I'm on 1 Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Called by the Grave, cause they're good cards, and 2 Live Twin Home. This is kind of a bad emergency teleport. You discard a card to summon a Kill or Lila from deck, but for the rest of the turn, you can only summon Evil Twins from the extra deck. This card is not good enough to play at 3, the extra deck lock really hurts, and you have enough ways to get into your loop that you don't really need to deal with the discard cost most of the time, but sometimes you need more extenders to get into your plays, and this fits the bill. The fact that the Live Twins activate on normal or special summon means if you like summon one and it gets solemned or something like that, Home will get you into your plays when a lot of other extenders wouldn't, so you do need to play it, but don't play 3. The last Evil Twin card in here is Evil Twin Present. If you control a Kill and a Lila, you can either shuffle a set back row your opponent has into deck, or swap control of a Kill or Lila on your field and any of your opponent's monsters. I think this card is really good. It's searchable off Secret Password, it's also good to hard draw. Having more back row removal in a best of 1 format always feels pretty good. And more importantly, the Creature Swap effect is really powerful removal that you can take a lot of advantage of because your twins are pretty small and your opponent's monsters are big. Most notably is that if you get Max Seed on the normal summon of a Live Twin, if you happen to have Present, you can just summon the other twin, set Present, and pass, and that's often good enough. I think that's really helpful for the deck, because without that, you really struggle to put out any disruption without going for at least 3 to 4 summons, and giving your opponent a ton of cards. Rounding out the deck, I have a couple of just good generic traps in Solemn Judgment and Solemn Strike. These can kind of be whatever back row or hand traps you want, depending on if you want to go first or second. This is just what I like playing. On to the extra deck, we have Baguska as the one and only Parallel Exceed target. It's important to note here that the effects of Kill and Lila to revive the other twin from the graveyard also lock you into only summoning fiend monsters from the extra deck for the rest of the turn, which means, unfortunately, you're often locked out of a lot of powerful rank 4s and Link monsters. But luckily for us, Baguska is a fiend monster, and Baguska is an absolutely phenomenal turn 1 play. You can play more rank 4s if you want, Dugaris is a good option, but I find I almost never want to go into anything that's not Baguska anyway, so I just play the boy. We've got one Link Disciple, one Link Devotee. The main deck Live Twins are Cyber, so you can make these. They don't come up often, but sometimes they're nice to have. Then we have Nightmare, Cerberus, and Phoenix. Pretty self-explanatory, but worth noting that these two are fiends, so you can make them under the Evil Twins lock, which comes up a lot. Then we have IP Masquerena. Honestly, you can cut this card. It's fine, but I barely summoned it. And then of course, 3 Kill and Lila. You really can't run less than 3, because you often go through at least 2, and often 3 of at least one of them over the course of a game. And then rounding out the extra deck, we have Nightmare Unicorn, Access Code Taka, because you do need to win the game at some point, and Underworld Goddess of the Closed World, who's a powerful removal tool who just so happens to be a fiend, which this deck absolutely loves. So that is the quick rundown of the deck. With that, I'm gonna go ahead and show you a couple of replays and let you kind of see the deck in action while I talk through the strengths and weaknesses of the deck, how it fits into the Master Duel meta, and if it's worth crafting for you. Alrighty, I have 2 replays to show to you today. One pretty quick one showing off the deck's main plays and the power of the main resource loop, and then another more competitive game where I get to grind it out with this deck against a very interesting opponent, I'm gonna say. Not a deck I expected to face. You'll see when we get there. Anyway, while these are playing, I want to talk more broadly about the deck and how it fits into the Master Duel meta. First of all, let's start with the strengths. Number 1, the biggest thing, this deck is incredibly consistent. I've played decently over 50 games at this point, between ranked and solo mode, and in those games I've had maybe 1 or 2 total where I didn't open a hand that easily got me to Evil Twins, Kill and Lila to get the loop going. So this is a deck where you almost never need to worry about bricking. You can sometimes see more monsters than you want, but it's so consistent, guys. I can't stress this enough. In addition to being consistent, the deck is resilient. If you make your Evil Twins turn 1 and your opponent kills them both, you still have a pretty easy time getting your loop going again turn 2. You have a lot of ways to get to them, you have revival effects. This deck is very difficult to keep down for more than about a turn. Also, the main loop you do get going is pretty good, and it's enabled by a package of cards that's small enough you can fit in a lot of hand traps and tech cards to help deal with the meta. Because of that, Evil Twin is also good at hybridizing with other decks. I know Live Twin Eldritch is a very popular variant, as the Live Twins give you a 1-card combo normal summon to pair with the control power of the Eldritch deck. So, while the deck does have some strength, it does also have some issues, and primary among them is that the deck's ceiling is very, very low, right? Like, we're talking, you're gonna have to be ducking your head if you're like 5'5" low. Yes, you're very consistent. Yes, your engine is small enough you can back yourself up with a lot of hand traps and stuff. But aside from the hand traps, in engine, the only real disruption you have is 1 pop from Lila and sometimes a present. That means that, well, yes, that amount of disruption is strong enough you can often get through a turn. Against decks with a lot of extenders, you often just don't have enough stuff to stop them, and you can have trouble ending games. This is exacerbated by the deck's second weakness, the Fiend lock on the Evil Twins. The fact that you can't go into non-fiends from the extra deck means you don't have access to a lot of generically powerful boss monsters. That means your turn 1 is almost never gonna be more than just summoning your twins and maybe Baguska, and it means you have to kind of commit more resources than you'd like to get to things like access code to actually end the game. So with all those strengths and weaknesses summed up, how good is the deck overall? Well, it's not that great, I'm gonna be honest with you. It is a good deck, for sure. It's good enough to get you to Platinum. I mean, I did that, and I was still having a decent enough time climbing in Platinum, but it is gonna have a hard time against the meta top dogs. Things like Drytron and Adamancipator, things like Eldritch. Although I think it is definitely good enough to take games off those decks, you're gonna have trouble if you're running into really good decks all of the time. Now, Evil Twin will get a bit stronger once Burst of Destiny cards are available, thanks to the Link monster Evil Twin's Trouble Sunny, who added kind of a lot of power to the deck, but even then, it's not gonna be like a tier 1 meta threat. Still, I think it's definitely good enough to play, right? And it'll take games off unsuspecting opponents. As for the final question here, is it worth crafting? Well, in terms of cost, the deck is pretty cheap. There are only 2 in-deck Ultra Rares, and one of those is the main deck Evil Twin, who I spent like a 4 minutes shitting on earlier and you shouldn't play. The only other one is Secret Passcode, which you do need 3 copies of, but that is the only in-archetype Ultra Rare, so it's not bad all things considered. The deck does require a decent number of Super Rares in the extra deck Evil Twins and Sunny's Snitch, but for the most part, the lack of Ultra Rares means it is a relatively easy deck to craft, and you can just throw in whatever hand traps and back row you happen to own. It's also a deck that's quite easy to play. The main combos are very simple to learn. It's just normal summon a live twin, make the links and pass, and even the more complicated combos don't often get fancier than, you know, summon an extra guy, make unicorn, make access code. From that point of view, I think as a new player, it's definitely not a bad deck. It's a lot of fun to play, the aesthetics are great, and it's a pretty simple way to get into the game that's not going to cost you too much. Now, if you're looking for the most competitive deck, no, this probably isn't what you should put your gems into, but hey, you know, if you're looking for competitive decks, that's not really what I do. So with all that out of the way, I hope you enjoyed watching. I've been really enjoying Evil Twin, and I hope you enjoy learning about them and maybe trying them out yourself. If you did like watching, please do like and subscribe, it would make me very happy, and feel free to leave a comment if you have any suggestions for how to improve my videos, ideas for future content, or better Evil Twin lists you want to yell at me about. So with that, thank you again so much for watching, and I am gonna log off now from my online YouTuber persona and go do some lesbian crimes.